Why do we chase happiness? The pursuit of happiness is something that occurs a lot in the media these days. That sense that we should be striving for happiness, for perfection in our lives, that we buy the next product or the next thing and somehow that's going to give us lasting happiness. And you know what? It never really does it? All this consumerism and advertising of the perfect lifestyle, the happiness, it never really pays off. We see in any commercial, everyone is happy. They're all smiling, eating a yogurt and just like it's bliss and heavenly, and that it's going to completely change your life and just bring you this real sense of joy. And it doesn't happen. It's something we fall for again and again, and I'm just as guilty of falling for these things as you are. But we're told that happiness is that thing that we should strive after. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've realised that happiness is just an emotion. And emotions change, and emotions come in cycles, in waves. We may be happy and up one day, and then the next day we're a bit depressed and sad, and then something happens and we're happy again. And it's very much a bit of a roller coaster of emotional things. But is there something that we could be chasing, that we could be looking for, that actually brings us what happiness is sold to us to bring? There's a plane going over right now, so I hope that you can hear this still okay. I'm just going to pause for a second and let that go over. I probably won't cut this out of the video because, one, I don't like editing, and two, I think it just makes it more raw. It was an Apache helicopter actually, not a plane, but yeah, still very noisy. Anyway, back to the topic of the video. Is there something that we can strive for, that we can look for, that we can try and align our lives with, that would actually help us to feel more happy without necessarily chasing happiness itself? And I believe there is. I think that answer that we are looking for is peace. Inner peace and outer peace in the world around us. Peace probably means something different to you to it does to me. But my idea of peace is simply to just be still, to not feel a real flux in life, to be steady, to be constant, to be in a place where things don't rattle me, and that I'm mindful and present in the moment. I have purpose, but it's not to the detriment of other things in my life. I'm not chasing after one thing very purposefully, but forgetting about my health or my relationships on the other side. And so I'm not in this conflict that I think a lot of us can find ourselves in when we simply chase happiness. We may be told or sold the lie that money will make us happier. So we set off after money, and after a period of time and a lot of hard work, we maybe become a millionaire. But we won't find that makes us happy, because if we've discarded or lost a relationship with a close friend or spouse just to get to this goal that we were told was going to make us happy, we're going to lose a lot of our peace around that, and it's going to detriment our happiness. To me, finding that balance, finding that middle ground, that place where we know that our emotions are going to fluctuate between happy and sad and joyous and depressed, but being able to find a level through that, a place or a system in our lives where we can just accept what is happening to us in the world around us and live from that centered place of knowing deep down that we are okay, and that this is just a phase, a period of time that we're going through, and we'll come out the other side of it. It's not something that peace isn't something that you can buy. It isn't something that you can tangibly package up in a product and sell as this will fix you. This is an instant quick fix. It's a system. It has to come from within. It has to be a way of living, I think. And it's something that I struggled with for a lot of years. I went through periods of real anxiety and stress and depression. It even caused me to drop out of uni for a year, and I had to postpone my studies because my mental health was in such a bad state. So I've been through those, the extremes, and this year I got married to the love of my life, my soulmate, and it was just a wonderful, joyous experience. We just wanted to relive our wedding day again and again and again. And so I've been to the extremes of both happiness and sadness, and I found that whilst they are great and wonderful experiences, or perhaps not so wonderful experiences in the moment, they pass and you move through those. What's more important is that peace. So how can we find that peace? How can we dial in? How can we get ourselves in a place where it doesn't matter if we're happy or sad? We have this just knowing inside us that things will be okay, and that the sun will shine again. For me, that's really been about focusing on some really quite simple things in life. I think it was Da Vinci who said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and I do agree with him. I think that when we try and overcomplicate our lives, or we pin our hopes on one thing to fix it all, it doesn't necessarily work. We have to do that. We have to go on that journey ourselves. And for me, focusing on my health, that being my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, and also my financial health, all of those things have an impact on your peace. I think it's very difficult to be in a peaceful state if you're not healthy. And so caring for your body on a day-to-day basis is a very important and simple thing you can do. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Move your body more, eat a better diet, drink more water. It doesn't mean they're not hard things to do. Don't get me wrong, they are hard things to do, but it doesn't mean that they have to be complex. And like with financial health, if you're struggling financially, it's very difficult to be peaceful. But when you have a emergency fund, you have some savings to fall back on, life becomes less stressful, it becomes less volatile, and it's much easier to find that sense of peace. For me, I save 10% of my income every month. As soon as that paycheck hits my account, I'll put 10% of that over into a stocks and shares ISA, and over time that builds me more of a financial security blanket, I suppose, and just helps to take the edge off life. It helps to know that if anything catastrophic were to go wrong, my boiler would explode, or my car goes wrong, or anything like that, I've got money there that I can use to get it fixed without going into debt. And again, it's not an easy thing to take that money and not touch it, to move it away for a rainy day. But it is a simple thing that you can do. And that balance of, looking after all of the different types of health that we have is very, very important in finding that peace, and ultimately to living a more happy and joyous life, because we kind of level out some of the bads and make more room for that joy and that happiness to come into our life. If we're healthy and mentally stable and financially stable, we're able to just be better human beings in general. Our moods will improve. We can be kind and we can be generous. We can teach others how to get themselves into better shape. We can provide value to other people when we are ourselves satisfied and in a place of peacefulness. And I suppose the most important element of that peace for me really comes from my faith, my knowing of just the really deep relationship that you can have with God, with Jesus. That to me has just brought this level of peace that, even though I was already taking care of those other things, it brought it to another level for me. I find that when you take care of that physical, mental, emotional, spiritual and financial health, it offers this peace. And when we have that peace, it really does allow us to just live happier lives, but without pursuing happiness as the goal. When you pursue peace over happiness, happiness follows, it doesn't precede it. And if you're interested in kind of how you can apply these principles to your life better, how you can start to look after your health, whether that be physical, mental, spiritual, in a simple and easy to follow way that is not easy. I'm not gonna say it's easy, but it is simple. And it's also very achievable, I think, for everybody to get themselves into this peaceful state. So yeah, if you're interested in kind of learning a bit more about that, there is a short ebook linked in the description that will give you my exact system for how I got my life to a point of feeling really peaceful, just through some very simple habits that I do on a daily basis, and that you can kind of extrapolate from that guide and make work for your own life. It's not a do this, do this, do this. It's more of a suggestion, more of a blueprint, if you will, for how you can take these principles and apply them to your life with the things that you like to do, the things that work for you, and ultimately to reach that place of more inner peace and, as a result, more happiness. I hope that helps, and thank you ever so much for watching to the end of the video. It really does mean an awful lot to me. So until next time, I will catch you then. Take care. God bless.